Good morning, everyone. I think we need to get started. I know several people are still trying to get in. So I think already we have a quorum, so we can just get started. Um, so if you know anyone who would want to join, who is not yet in, kindly nudge them to join so that we can get started at exactly 10 minutes past 10. So that is 1 minute away. Thank you. Okay, so once again, welcome to today's training session. We have organized this training to ensure that we capacity build you as partners and also as end users to be able to effectively use the stock module, which is a module in TaifaCare powered by Kenya EMR. We are aware that there are several facilities that have interest in implementing and utilizing this particular module. So this training is very essential for you to ensure that you understand how to go about setting up the module, how to go about navigating and utilizing different components of the module correctly to help you manage the commodities at the facility. So we'll start off with a short presentation, then we'll just go right into the navigation part. Yes, Frida?
Hi, Otieno. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Maybe before the presentation, can we do stock take of the partners who are available here so that we know who we need to follow up with to join?
Yeah, I think we can do that. Just a minute. Yeah, so I think we'll just proceed. Sorry for that. We'll just proceed and do a quick head count just to be sure that we have all the partners. Because this is very important, it will really be good to know who is here so that we can make follow-ups with the partners that may be missed for one reason or another. So I'll just quickly go through the list. If you hear your organization, just raise up your hand. Then you put it down. So I'll start with the Vocation 95. LVCT Vocation. Thank you. Imarisha Jamii. Imarisha Jamii. Thank you. Just put your hands down. Kisii County Coag. Anyone from Kisii County Coag? Thank you. LVCT Prisons. Anyone? Thank you. Next, we have AHF. Thank you. Next one is KCCB. Next is KCCB. Asante. Nuria Mtoto. Nuria Mtoto. Okay. Thank you. You can put your hands down. Next is HJF South Rift. HJF South Rift. Thank you, thank you. AMPA Tuzima. AMPA Tuzima. Seems like we don't have anyone from AMPA Tuzima. Dumisha Afya. Thank you. Seaheben Trench. Thank you. Migori County Coag. Migori County Coag, anyone? Thank you. Seaheb Connect. Santi. We have CAB Mara. CAB Mara. Thank you. Kitui County Coag. Anyone from Kitui County Coag? That is Tujimudu. Can't see anyone. Hope Worldwide. Kante. Uzinduzi. That is Makueni County Coag. Thank you. Anyone from Shine? Shine. Can't see anyone. Nyeri County Coag. Thank you. Jamii Tekelezi. Jamii tekelezi. Thank you. Kiambu County COAG, that is Endeleza. I don't seem to see anyone. Murang'a County COAG. Murang'a County COAG. Okay, thank you. Chuck Stawisha. Thank you. Stawisha Pwani. Stawisha Pwani. Thank you. Mkomani Clinic. Mkomani. Thank you. Coptic. Thank you. LVCT DBT. Santi. HJF Nairobi. HJF Nairobi. I don't seem to get anyone. Kirinyaga County COAG, that is Wezesha Afya. Anyone? Thank you. And lastly, we have Tujenge Jamii. Anyone? Okay. Thank you. I don't know if there's anyone. Maybe we can all lower our hands. We can all lower our hands so that we can get if there is anybody that we didn't call out. Yes, Mercy. From which organization? Mercy, you can unmute and tell us which organization you're coming from so that we document. Okay, I think to save time, if you didn't hear your name or the name of your organization, please just post it on chat. Just introduce yourself on chat. We'll compile that list from the chat. So just do the self-introduction. Tell us your name, your organization, and probably your designation, so that we'll be able to compile that at the end of the training. So I think then from there we'll just transition and just go straight into today's session without much ado. So I'll just request that we lower our hands for now so that we can get started. Right, so I'll just share my screen so that we can get a short presentation as we get started. Frida, please confirm that my screen is visible.
Yes, your screen is visible.
Okay. And the presentation is also visible?
Yes, it is.
All right. Yeah, so once again, welcome. So as I said, this training is going to focus on the stock module in TaifaCare powered by KJMR. So this will help you in terms of managing your commodities, both pharmaceuticals and non-pharmaceuticals. And this training has been organized as a result of demand by several facilities that want to start managing their their medication, especially the ART medication. So we really hope that you're going to really learn how to set it up and also how to navigate it successfully. So we will be covering the purpose for the stock module, the key features and benefits of the module, especially to the facilities and also to the personnel that is managing the stock. So the key objective for this particular training is to reinforce the capacity of the users and also to ensure that you're familiar with the module. You're able to use its core functionalities in managing the health facility commodities. And the specific objective include one, will be able to showcase how to perform the various roles in managing the module. So what are the user roles that are associated with the module and how do we set them up? We'll try and demonstrate to you the workflows of the different component of the module and also how to perform various stock operations within the facility. So what is this module, the commodity management module? So this is a key module in TaifaCare powered by Kenya EMR, which has been designed to help you as a facility track and manage the inventory of the medical supplies, including drugs and any other commodity. And also, why is it important for you as a facility? So this module is very important to ensure that there is availability of the essential commodities, and also you are able to foresee the stocks that are running low, and you're able to prevent stock out because the system will be able to tell you the status of each and every commodity, and you're able to look at the reorder level for every commodity, and you're able to ensure that you have those particular commodities in stock. So the key features for this module includes the inventory tracking, which looks at the quantities of the commodities in stock, the batch numbers and the expiry date and the reorder levels. It also have alerts, as you'll be able to see, so that you are able to tell which drugs are likely to expire within what period, and also how many or which commodities are approaching expiry and when it is time to reorder. So that is very important so that you can anticipate your stock status and you're able to restock early enough. The other one is the order management, which creates which facilitates the creation, approval, and tracking of orders, especially for new commodities that are received or issued from the facility. It also has a feature in commodity usage monitoring, and you're able to tell in terms of the report the status of each commodity. And again, also we have the reporting and analytics. And the analytics here also includes the site level statistics in terms of the quantities and also above site dashboards that can be monitored from outside the facility so that even at the county level, someone knows what is the status of commodities across the county. So the module has various benefits, a lot of benefits, some of which are not listed in the presentation, but the key benefits of the health facility is the improved resource management. So the module helps in managing resources efficiently, and this reduces the likelihood of stock out or overstocking, as I've already mentioned, that you're able to forecast and tell the status and availability of particular items so that if they are running low, you're able to order and restock. There is the component of enhanced decision making, which is the real-time data that then can inform decision making regarding the procurement and the supply chain of the facility. And then the last one is the compliance and accountability, which ensure that the module complies with the regulatory requirements and maintains accountability, because much of it, as you'll realize, there's no much human intervention in terms of reducing or increasing stock. So this is what system does automatically, so that if a particular drug or a particular medication is prescribed and dispensed, the system does the reduction automatically. So that kind of increases the accountability at the facility level, so that we are sure that whatever balance or whatever stock that remains is what really remains. So who are the key actors who are supposed to be interacting with the commodities? So we have the staff, the personnel at the store. This includes the procurement officers, the store managers, and the pharmacists. They'll be interacting with the different components of the module, as you'll be able to see, to ensure that they're able to manage the commodities within their departments. The end users for this module, one, we have pharmacists who will be dispensing the commodities in terms of drugs, and also making orders from the main store, as we'll be able to see. We have the nurses and clinicians that will be able to prescribe these commodities and ensure that they interact with the stock management. That will tell them whether the stock is available or the stock is out of stock. The commodity is out of stock, sorry. So those are the key users that interact with this particular module. Then we have different operations in the module. So different stock operations that somebody will be able to perform depending on their access rights. So we can perform operations like the receipt, requisitions, issue, return of commodity, disposal, adjustments, stock take, and opening stock. So all that will be able to demonstrate how those are done within the within the module. So for you to perform particular roles within the system, within the module, you must have various access rights and roles that will then be assigned to you by an administrator. So as an administrator, you have the roles for assigning other users their roles. You have the role of adding specific stock management roles. You can increase or decrease increase or reduce somebody's access rights. You can add commodity sources. You can set up the locations and also tag the locations accordingly. So those will be the role of the system administrator. And this can be somebody at the facility that understands how to do this, so that if there's any user maybe at the pharmacy would want to be onboarded, they are the person that is going to have them onboarded and assign them specific roles. We'll see how that happens in real time. Then we have the main user roles. So we have the role for the personnel at the store, procurement or supplies. This include the receive, issue, and disposal. Then the personnel at the substores they have the roles to request, issue, or dispense commodities at the dispensing area. So I believe this could be like at the pharmacy. They can do the request and also dispense. Then across the board, we have the common roles like the stock adjustment, stock return, you have stock take and opening stock. These are roles that can cut across different different users. Yeah, so with that, we can transition to the system workflow so that we can see how this can happen in real time in the system. So I'll just unshare and reshare my screen so that we can start off from the system interface. So I'll just share my screen. Rita, please confirm if the screen is there.
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Just log in. Yeah, so this is the landing page when you log into TaifaCare that is powered by Kenya UMAR. This will be your landing page. So there are different components. I think the interface looks familiar. For those who are seeing it for the first time, there have been a bit of adjustment and reorganization of the interface, which I guess you'll still be able to follow. But for today, we are going to focus our attention to the stock module. So we are going to start by the process of creating the user that will interact with the stock module. So as you'll be able to see, the user will have to have different rights, and also they'll have to have elevated roles for them to interact with the stock module and be able to perform different operations. So how do we create that user? And this user, we are going to assume that maybe is the personnel at the main store who will be able to help in terms of receiving commodities in the facility and also issuing it to the pharmacies. So the process of creating a user, one is you come to the 9 dots at the corner, and then you go to the administration. So that will load for us the list of existing users in the system. So we have the list of users. So if at all they're already existing, you can just click on the action and maybe edit so that you can include specific stock roles within the account. So for instance, if we are looking at this first user, if I edit, you'll be able to see under the roles, what roles they have, including the inventory roles. So you can add them more or you can reduce the roles depending on what they're doing within the facility. Okay. So I want to create a new user. And this is the user that is going to interact with the stock management module. So the first thing is please to click on the add user. You can give them a name. So I can give this person a name called test stock manager, just giving the name, then the gender, then we do next. So how do you want them to log in? You want them to log in as test stock. That's the username that they are going to use. And then you can give them a password. Yeah, then we proceed. They are not providers, so we don't have to give them any providers role. And then what roles do we give them? What roles should they have so that they can interact with the particular with the inventory module? So at first, we'll start by giving them the API privileges, and then we can come down and include the authenticated user. Then we come to we give them the pharmacy, and then we provide to them all the inventory access. We can give them everything. And as you realize, this is just the first part of providing the rights. So for them to interact with the inventory module, they'll have to be given additional roles, as you'll be able to see. So our user has been given the required roles. So we'll just proceed and save. then we can see how they're going to interact with they'll be able to interact with the stock module. Good, so we have saved our user. So we believe we have test stock somewhere. Yeah, we have the test stock manager already created, and we have the account already existing in the system. So next is about creating the location. So the location here is this going to be the main store, or is it going to be the main pharmacy, or is it a sub pharmacy, maybe in a department, maybe at the MCH or at the IPD? So when we are creating this location, we have to tell the system whether we are creating the main store or we are creating the main pharmacy. And then after that, we can also have the sub pharmacies, sub stores under that main pharmacy. So how do we create that? How do we create the location? So we'll give it just a few minutes to load. Takes a bit of time, but it's going to load. Yeah, so we have a list of locations. It's a whole list because this is a test server and people everywhere have been creating a lot of locations. But for demonstration, for illustration purposes, I'm just going to create another location, which we are going to call the main store for our facility. And again, I'm going to create another one for the main pharmacy. So the first thing to do is one, you can add a location. So you can say add a location, and then we call it test main store. Test main store. Then we can tag it. So tagging it means you want to specify whether it is going to be a login location or any other operation that can be performed within that particular location. So for instance, if you're going to create the main store, so we are going to give it the main store tag. So you can say main store. Okay. Then because this person will need to be logging into this particular store, we'll also be giving it the login location so that they are able to log in into that location. So those are the two key tags that you want to give to the main store. So again, just to recap, we have two tags. We have the main store and also the tag for the login location so that then they can log into that particular location. Okay, so that is how we create. Oh, that already exists. Let's just a minute to training. Yeah, let's just give it that so that we don't overwrite. Yeah, so that has gone in. So we have another location that is called training main store. But for your facility, make it make sense. Just say main store, and then you can give it maybe your facility name. So if your facility is called Sega, you just say Sega main store. For me, I'm just using the test instance for that particular reason. So we can see, we can just search and see if we have that. We have test main store, the training store. Let's just look at that. Yeah, so we have our store, the main store, as a location that has been created. So then with the tags of being a main store and also as a login location, so that when a user at the main store wants to log in, they can just click on the location and you will be able to see our test tool already in the list. Here we have it as the last one. So they can click on this and then they log in. So that's why it is very important for you to tag it as a login store so that it can be listed as the locations for logging in. Okay. So we'll just go back to our to Chuka. Sorry. Then the next one is how do we create a location for the main pharmacy? So depending on the facility level, there's going to be interaction between the main store and the pharmacy and the main pharmacy. Okay, there are certain operations that will be requested from the main pharmacy to the main store and vice versa. So it is important if you have those particular two locations for you to define them in the system so that you have the main store and also the main pharmacy. But that is highly dependent on the level of your facility. If it is a dispensary, maybe you only need to create the main pharmacy so that they can then use that for managing your products. So assuming this is a level 4 or above, then we need to create another location called the main pharmacy. So again, just like we did, we'll just say add location and we call it training main pharmacy. And then the tag that we are going to give it, we are going to give it the first tag called the main pharmacy. Main pharmacy. And again, because someone will be able to log in to this particular location for them to perform various operations, we'll also give it a login location. Okay. So we have those two main tags for that, which we then can save. Yeah. So we've saved that. So we have the main pharmacy that then can interact with the main store. And we can search to see if it was successfully created by just saying training. Yeah, so we have the training pharmacy. So we have this main store and also the main pharmacy. So those are successfully created and we have the tags that are appropriate for them. Okay. So you remember we had our user that we created earlier, the test stock manager. So we want to ensure that this user account, this user is able to interact with the stock module. So there are additional roles that we have to give, and also the scope of the roles that you have to define for this user in the stock module environment, which I want to show you next. So
Hi,
one,
Atieno.
I can. Someone talking?
Can you hear me, Atieno? I think some people are not able to see your screen, though the screen is visible from my side. It may be internet struggles. I don't know. Moses, can you confirm if Otieno's screen is visible? I can see it.
Otieno, your screen is visible, but there are concerns even on chat that you try and zoom in so that you can make especially the screen bigger slightly. Yeah, thank you.
All right.
So for the people who are not able to see the screen, maybe you can log off and log in again. Proceed, Otieno.
All right. Yeah. So as I was saying, thanks for that, Rita. As I was saying, so we are going to provide additional roles that are specific to stock module so that the user that we had created, the test stock manager, can now be able to comfortably interact with that particular module. So that's what I want to show us next. So we'll just go straight to the stock management environment. Again, we go to the 9 dots. I've zoomed, so I hope everyone is okay. And let me zoom some more. Yeah, so we'll go to that environment, which is called the managed stock environment here. So this is where we go. And that is our landing page when you get to the stock management module. So I think the next presenter will be able to kind of take us through the interface and what everything means. But for now, I just want to show you how to add roles so that the user can interact with the environment. So once you are here, you go to the user roles and scope. So we'll open that. Yeah. So we have the user role scopes. and this is the environment where you need to now specify the roles for this particular user. So the first thing you do is to add, you click on the add new user or scope. Then it will take a bit of time to load, but it loads anyway. Let's just give it a few seconds to load. Taking a bit of time. Let's just be patient. Yeah, as we wait for that to load, I can use a different instance. I think it is taking more time to load, but we just continue anyway on a different instance. Sorry. So this is what is supposed to be loaded. This is the screen that is supposed to be loaded, and this is what we are supposed to see. So what you do is that you need to find the user. You need to find that user that you had created. Then you can now provide or assign them elevated roles for them to interact with the module. So I'll just pick a random user. Once the other one is loaded, I'll be able to come back to it so that we proceed with our test stock manager. So you'll be able to search for that user that you had created. If it is, let's say, Irene, you'll be able to pick that particular user, and then you assign them a role. So the role that you're going to assign them depends. So we have the roles for inventory manager. We have the roles for inventory administrator. So for this one, I'll give the system in the inventory administrator, because we have it somewhere here. So Irene was not given that from the user side, so we cannot give them the administrator. Let's get somebody else. Sorry. Let's pick someone else. Joan too was not given that. Let's try again. We are looking for the role called the inventory administrator. So that must have been given when you were creating the user. So for the ones we are getting, they were not given that role. So let's just try another one as we wait for our instance to load. Yeah, so we have inventory administrator. I've picked somebody else, a super user, so I'm sure that they were given that role when the account was being created. So you need to give them that inventory administrator role, and then you enable that particular account, and then you decide whether it is going to be a permanent role or it is going to be a role just for some time. So for instance, if maybe you have an intern or you have someone who is going to stand in for another person, and you just want them to have the roles for, let's say, for 1 week that they're going to be standing in, you can provide the date and say, we want this role to run from 30th of March to 3rd of March. So that means the roles will expire automatically after that particular period. But if this is a staff of this facility, then you need to give them a permanent role. So I hope that is clear. Then the next one is now selecting the kind of operations that they'll be able to carry out depending on the nature of their work at the facility. So if you allow them to do stock adjustment, you take that. If they should be doing disposal, you take that. If they should be doing the transfer out, they should be able to receive stock or return stock, or they should be able to issue stock, request for stock. They are able to do stock take and opening stock and external requisition. So you give them these particular roles depending on what you want them to be doing in this particular location. Then what is the role scope for this particular role? So the role scope is where they're supposed to be discharging their duties. So in our case, we said we are going to have, let's say, someone at the main store. So we can say this role applies to the main store, and then we turn that on. Okay. So I hope that is clear. So we'll just come back to our original screen. I think yeah, I think it is back. It has loaded. So allow me to just switch the screens. So for instance, we have our test stock manager, and then we should be able to now choose their roles. So we have inventory administrator. We'll be enabling that. It is a permanent role, and we want to give them everything. We want to select all the operations that they should be able to do, and then they'll be able to do this in our main store or main pharmacy. So let's say it's the main store, we are using the main store, and we turn it on. And also because it is this facility, we also turn on for that particular facility. So that is what we need to do on that screen to ensure that now they'll be able to interact with the stock management module. Once you do that, you save, and then that gives them that elevated role to be able to interact with the module. Yeah, so I want to transition at that, and maybe we can allow the next presenter to take us through now the actual stock operations. What are some of the components of the stock module, so that then we can see how that we can interact with those stock items as we do the prescriptions and also dispensing. Yeah, so at this point, I want to usher in Frida to take us to the next phase of the navigation. Frida, I don't know if you are ready.
Etienne. Yes, I'm ready.
Okay.
Let me just share my screen. Confirm that you can see my screen. Oh, sorry, give me a second. You should be able to see my screen now.
Yeah, you may want to zoom in a little bit. It's very small.
Okay.
Maybe 150 is thereabouts.
Okay, that's fine. Sawa. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Frida Oyucho. I work with Palladium. So I'm going to take you through a little bit about the dashboards for the stock module. I'll also be able to take you through the different configurations configurations and operations that you're supposed to do to be able to ensure that the stock is actually in the correct stores or locations within the facility, so that when a clinician is ordering, they're able to find the drugs and be able to tell the amounts that are available. And also the pharmacist is able to dispense from the stock that is in the system. So basically, I'll just show you how to load the drugs into your instance in the EMR. So I believe we already know right now how to access the stock module. So you go to the 9 dots, then you'll be able to see manage stocks. So you'll click on manage stocks. Again, before we reach here, Otieno has been able to explain, you need to do some things, some configurations. So that is, first of all, you need to have all your pharmacists already, the accounts created in the system, the correct roles added, and also the roles under user role scopes have also been added so that they can be able to access the different stores. Then you also need to ensure that the locations for the facility are correctly set so that when you're doing the operations for the stock, you're able to clearly see how your drugs are moving between the different stores. Now, besides that, when you log into the managed stock module, the other thing that you need to do even before I explain the dashboard and all that is you need to be able to configure the sources. So you need to be able to just clearly indicate in the system where you're getting your drugs, or if you're a big facility that normally lends people drug every now and again, then you should be able to also be able to configure that here so that now when you're doing the operations, you're able to find these sources as part of the drop downs, as we'll be able to see when you're doing those operations. So assuming your facility, it's a new facility, you just started using the EMR, you want to be able to load your stock. So after making sure everyone has roles, and after creating the locations appropriately, you need to be able to come here and be able to add sources. So when you say add source, you're basically telling us where you're getting your drugs from. But confirm you can see my screen. I can see someone is saying they can't see the screen.
Yeah, the screen is visible. So I think
Okay.
if you have problems with the viewing the screen, you can just drop off and then rejoin the call.
Okay. So you'll come here and say, for example, you normally get your drugs from KEMSA, then you'll come here and say, maybe KEMSA, but now in full, Kenya Medical Supplies. Yes, you'll say KEMSA in full. Because of the demonstration, I'll just write it in acronyms, and then you'll come here and say, so it's KEMSA. How are you getting your drugs from KEMSA? Do you buy them or do you get them as donations? So you'll be able to specify. So you can say sometimes you get them as commercial, you buy, so you save. But then also if sometimes you get donations from KEMSA, you still come back here, you say add new source. Again, you still say KEMSA. acronym is KEMSA, but then you specify that sometimes you get drugs from KEMSA, but it's donation. We also normally have another source called MEDS. I think it's called Mission for Essential Drugs. So you'll be able to do the full name, and then you'll also be able to do the code or acronym, and then you'll be able to specify, do you get drugs from MEDS as donation or commercial? So you'll be able to specify, and then you save. If you get drugs from another facility as well, if you're a small facility and, for example, you get from your level 5, you'll be able to specify, for example, JOTRH if you're in Kisumu, you'll specify the name of the facility, and then you'll be able to do the acronym, and then you say how you normally receive. Do you buy drugs from them or donations every now and again? So you'll be able to save. I also know that you may not be able to know comprehensively, especially facilities that you give drugs to every now and again. So what you'll do is whenever you receive drugs from those facilities, you'll just navigate here and be able to add the new source. So it's a very fast thing. You just come here, do the full name, nini, and then you save. Ndio unaanza sasa kuload drugs into the EMR. So once you've done that, now the configurations are done. You need to make sure that you have now drugs available. So there is stock, but then there's a list of drugs that you should be able to add stocks to. So in the EMR, you need to be able to load. Normally, the upgrade package comes with a CSV that contains the list of drugs that you're currently seeing that you're supposed to load, and then now load stocks into the list of drugs. So this list of drugs, you need to just confirm that you have, especially the most essential drugs. You can always come here and search for maybe things like paracetamol, just to confirm that, because those are some of the most basic drugs that they're not supposed to miss from your drug list. Just confirm that you have such kind of drugs. So once you have the drugs now, then now if you don't have the drugs, you need to reach out to your digital health leads or reach out to your partner, request them to just upload for you the drugs. So once that has happened, then now I'll come to the overview and start doing the explanation of what we have here. So when you open the manage stock module, this is how the dashboard looks like. So we are able to tell you the number of stocks that are almost expiring, and I'll be able to explain how you configure this. And down here, we have the alerts. We can see the actual drugs that are almost expiring. And if you scroll down, you can also view all, and you'll be able to see all those drugs that are almost expiring. So you can be able to tell that from the system. You'll also be able to tell drugs that are out of stock. So for out of stock, you'll be able to tell, because again, there's a place we'll see that you do the configuration that you can tell, you can put a threshold. If your stock reaches this level, if it's below a certain level, then it's understocked. If it's above a certain level, it's overstocked. So if the levels are reached, then you should be able to come here and you'll be able to see those drugs that understocked or overstocked. Sorry, you should be able to view from up here. If you're receiving drugs from anywhere, outside the facility, from a different store to the main store, you should be able to see those drugs that are being received from here. So we have a snip. But then again, if you view all, sorry, let me just scroll down. If you view all down here, then you should be able to see those drugs that you received, whether it's from another facility or it's from a different source, whether you're buying or donations, you can always be able to view the comprehensive list here. And you'll also be able to see the quantity that was received. The other thing is any drug that has been issued, again, to any store within the system, we can always also tell, or to another facility, an external facility. There is also some snippet from the dashboard. You can always tell which drugs have been issued where. So if you click view all, I don't think it's responding. If you click view all, but the version you have in the facility should be able to respond. So when you click view all, again, you'll be able to just see the drugs that you are receiving, you have issued to another store or to another facility from your facility. Then we have for disposed stocks. So we have stocks that have expired and stocks of poor quality. Again, these are configurables per items. So when you configure them, then you should be able to see from your dashboards how many of these drugs have actually expired. Again, remember in the EMR, we are restricting dispensing of drugs that have expired. So if your drug has expired, if at all you try to dispense from the EMR, you'll not even be able to see the batch number. So you'll be able to see the number of stocks from your stock, the number of drugs that have expired, or the number of commodities, and also the ones that are of poor quality. Now, the next thing that now you're supposed to be able to do is now to load stock into your drug items. So before you load stock, there are two ways. You can either load stock and then now come to items and then be able to set your drugs so that you can be able to see these alerts. So for example, if your facility has 100 drugs that you consistently give to patients, so after you've loaded your stock, then you can actually come here. Now, it's a bit manual. You're still looking for a way to make it a bit easier, but you'll come here, you'll search for that drug. For example, if it's paracetamol. So when you search for the drug and then you click on the pen and then you come here. So for you to be able to see that alert for expiration, this is where you'll be able to configure that. So you'll come here and then if you want to be alerted when the drug is expiring, is almost expiring, 60 days to, this is where you get to specify. So you'll specify for the items that don't expire, which I don't think there's any, all of them expire, you say no. So you specify the expiration notice, and then you should be able to now see the notice on the dashboard. And then for the categories and the dispensing units, they're not mandatory. But then also for the dispensing packaging unit, you should be able to specify, sorry about that. You should be able to specify, sorry about that. So normally when you click on the, apologies, this is a test instance, so we're having a bit of errors here and there. So I will not click on much, but hapa kwa hii down arrow, you'll be able to specify how the drug is supposed to be dispensed, the packaging unit. So mostly if it's a tablet, it will come with a tablet already configured like this. Again, that will be the default stock operation packaging unit. But in case the drug is supposed to be a tablet and it hapa juu inasema maybe when you're trying to dispense, it shows capsule, then you just navigate to this part and you'll be able to change. So when you click there, you should be able to see all those other dispensing units, ni venye hii ilikuwa set, and then now you should be able to move on. So when now you try to dispense, you should be able to see now capsule and not tablet. So I know those are some of the issues we've had over time with facilities. Again, you can be able to also set the reorder level packaging unit, and then the purchase price if the facility, if you know the purchase price for the drugs, and then the purchase price packaging unit, you should be able to also be able to tell. Okay. We have the packaging units. Let me try and see if, okay. So again, so before you're able to select the dispensing packaging unit of measure, you'll be able to configure that from the packaging unit. So here, if it's a tablet, you'll be able to say the pack size for the tablets, one packet in a contain gapi, all those other details. This is where you get to actually configure that. But again, remember for the dispensing, it's as per the smallest unit of measure, which will be the tablet. For the transaction, you'll be able to have access to any transaction that has been done for that specific drug. Any operation, whether it was there was an adjustment done to it, there was an opening stock, it was disposed, all those kind of things, you should be able to see how that drug moved within the facility. So at the end of the day, you can see the drugs, the amount that you received in your stock, and the amount that actually was. Either an operation was done to dispense it or to just remove it from one store to the next store. And then we have the batch information. So this is not really mandatory, but you can always set so that you capture the location, the batch number, the quantity, packaging unit, expires. So this also, once you've done your stock, auto-populates. But again, I think we've also gotten feedback from facilities. Sometimes it doesn't auto-populate, but most of the time you'll be able to see, especially after loading stock, where your stock is, the batch number. If you have like more than 3 batches of the same drug, you should be able to see all of them, the quantity threshold, the packaging unit, and the expiration date. And then we have the quantity. Again, you should be able to see the quantity in stock. Once you've loaded the stock in the system, you'll be able to see all that here. And then we have the rules, and then we have the references, which I don't think I want to talk about right now. So once you've done that, then now we come to the stock operation. So for the stock operation, again, the assumption we are using right now, assuming it's a new facility, you just started using the EMR 3.0, you want to load your stocks. After doing all those things I've explained, then you need to come here and then you click on Start New. The first thing you're supposed to do is to do opening stock. Opening stock basically is just loading the stock you have in your EMR. So if you're a big facility, then the opening stock should be done in the main store. If you're a small facility and you're still doing it in bits, you can do opening stock even in the main pharmacy. So with the assumption I've given, facility is new, the first thing they'll do is the opening stock. So for the opening stock, I'll assume you're doing the opening stock in the main store. So I'll select the main store for the facility we're working with, that is Chuka. And then the person responsible, this is from the account I've logged in with. It picks by default. And then if there's any remark that is supposed to be made, then it will be documented there. So I'll say opening stock, then you say next, and then now you start selecting and loading your drugs. So assuming I want to add stock for paracetamol. So I want to add stock for paracetamol injection. So I'll select the drug. I'll put in the batch number. Just going to put in a dummy batch number. I'll put in the expiration date. Maybe it's expiring in 2028, 30th of April. I'll put in the quantity. So maybe I'm receiving 1,000 vials. You can see the quantity unit of measure by default populates. If you know the brand for the drug, you can also document. If you know the manufacturer, maybe Johnson & Johnson. I'm not sure, I'm just guessing. And then if you know the purchase price per vial, you can also be able to document that. Okay. And then you save. Okay. So next, I also maybe want to load there's a drug called cetirizine tablet 10 mg. So you select the drug. Again, you'll be able to put in the batch number. You select the expiration date. It's expiring 2030. And then you say that you've received or you're adding maybe 10,000 tablets for cetirizine. And then you'll put the brand name. You just select any. And then you'll put also the manufacturer name and maybe the price. Okay. So you'll do this for all those drugs that are available in your main store. So what is advisable is that you just enter all of them and then you save, so that in your opening stock batch, we have all your drugs that you are, so that you don't do opening stock for 5 drugs, again 5 drugs, again 5 drugs. You're supposed to literally do opening stock at a go. Do for all the drugs. Once you're done with that, and then now you click on next. Again, if it's a big facility where approval needs to be given, then you'll say that the transaction needs approval, then you submit for review. If approval is not required, then you just say no. and then you complete. If you say save, the transaction will not be complete. You'll have to go back to that operation to complete it before now the drugs can actually be available in your main store. Okay, so once you're done, you can now see this is the operation I've done. So you can see that I've done opening stock, and you can be able to see the drugs. The list is down here. You can see the status is complete, and you can see that the opening stock was done in the main store, and the person who did it and the date. Okay, we have a pen here for editing stock. Unfortunately, right now it doesn't really work as intended. So you cannot even remove a drug from here. So that operation will not be completed. So if you've messed up, again, right now what you'll need to do is just to start another operation and do an opening stock again. So we highly request that, especially when you're doing opening stock for many drugs, you just be keen on your entries, confirm before you complete. Okay. So once you're done with the opening stock, you can now tell where your drugs are. Now, if a facility is receiving drugs from another source, assuming it's KEMSA, to your facility, again, you'll still come to start new, and then we have receipt. So you'll click receipt. So this is with an assumption that now you've been using the EMR and now you're getting your drugs. So you'll come here, select the source. Remember, the first thing we did was configuration of the source. So when you come here, you say you're receiving your drugs from KEMSA, you're receiving them to the main store. And then if you're receiving them somewhere else, but normally when drugs come to the facility, it has to go to the main store first. So by default, it now brings main store and the person responsible and the remarks. Then you click next. Then now you start adding the drugs that you're receiving from KEMSA. So assuming you're receiving ibuprofen, so you'll select the ibuprofen that you're receiving from KEMSA. The process is exactly the same. You'll document the batch number, the expiry date, the quantity you're receiving from KEMSA, and then the number of tablets, and then you'll specify the brand, the manufacturer name, and also the purchase price. These are not mandatory, but if you have the details, you can always enter. Then you save. So again, for example, you're receiving another drug, maybe aspirin. Okay, let me say amoxicillin. Maybe you're receiving amoxicillin capsule 500 mg. Again, you'll be able to document the batch number, the expiry date, the quantity you're receiving, maybe 5,000. And then again, you'll be able to put in the brand name, the manufacturer name, and the price, purchase price, per capsule, and then you save. So once you're done, and then you'll continue and say next. Assuming it requires approval, now you'll say the transaction requires approval, and then you say submit for review, and then you say submit. Let it load. Okay, so now you'll be able to see there's a difference between the one that didn't require approval and the one that requires approval. So this one, you can see now it's submitted. So when you click on the down arrow, then now you'll be able to see the items, assuming now the person approving now is in a different place. They'll be able to see the items that have actually been received into the store, and then they'll proceed to either reject, maybe they can return, cancel the transaction. They can also print the transaction, or they can proceed and approve the transaction. So once they approve the transaction, now you can see that it will now show completed. Give it a second again. So now the transaction is complete, and you can be able to tell that the person who approved has already authorized. So now the drugs are available in the store. So now the drugs are available in the facility, in the main store. The person at the pharmacy wants to be able to dispense these drugs. So what will they do in the EMR? They will still come to the start new under operations, and then they'll be able to do a requisition so that the drugs move from the main store to the main pharmacy. So click requisition, then specify where are you requesting for these drugs from. So I'm doing a requisition from the main pharmacy, but then the requisition is going to the main store. So I'm at the main pharmacy, I'm doing a requisition to the main store so that they can be able to give me drugs. So from and to, and then you say next. So now you're requesting from the drugs already in stock at the main store. So I'll select the first one. I think we had paracetamol injection. Okay, and then I'll specify the quantity I want, maybe 100 vials. Then I save. I say I also want ibuprofen. I think we did 200 mg tablets. I say for ibuprofen, I want maybe 200. So you'll be able to just list all the drugs that you're requesting for again at a go in a batch. So I say, I also want cetirizine tablets 10 mg. I want 1,000 of those. So once you've listed all the drugs you're requesting for, then now you'll be able to see the available stock in the main store and the quantity you're requesting for. You'll be able to see the available stock, the quantity you're requesting for. So if you need to adjust, maybe you are not sure how much you really have in the store, you can always come here, edit, and say, instead of 1,000, maybe I can just get 5,000. Okay, so now you can see it has changed from 1,000 to 5,000. And then you'll say next, and then you say the transaction does not require approval. We have already seen now if you say the transaction requires approval, then the person who is supposed to approve needs to approve. The account that I'm using has literally all the roles, but at the facility level, the person approving will be a different person with a different role from the person that is supposed to be doing the requisition. So the person doing requisition at the facility will not be able to do the same function that I've done, that is approving. So I'll say complete, and then I say submit. Okay, so the person at the main pharmacy, with an assumption that this is a big facility, has requested for drugs from the main store. Okay, so the people at the main store will come, they will access that requisition that was done by the person at the main pharmacy, and you can actually be able to tell. So you'll be able to tell the operation, you'll be able to tell the requisition number, and then you'll be able to tell the items that were requisitioned, they should be down here. You'll be able to tell the requisition is from where to where, from the main store, main pharmacy, sorry, to the main store, the person who requisitioned and the dates. And then down here, you'll also be able to see the exact time that the requisition was made. So you'll come down here, if you're now at the main pharmacy, main store, you want to now do the stock issue to the main pharmacy, you'll come here, you'll see stock issue. Again, remember, you can always print that requisition that was done. So you will always be able to print that, so it's possible. So you'll come here, click on stock issue. So when you come to stock issue, so now we're issuing stocks from the main store to now the main pharmacy. Again, when you click next, you'll be able to find the items that were requested for from the main pharmacy. So all the person at the main store needs to do is just to confirm the expiry dates for those drugs, and then they'll be able to issue the drugs. So how will they go about that? So from here, you'll click on the pen. Even before clicking on the pen, you can see that already we can tell the batch number, the expiration date, and all that. So you'll click on this edit, and you click on the edit, then you'll be able to see all the batches that are available for that drug in the system. So you'll be able to select, let me just discard that first. So the person requested for 100, so you'll be able to select which batch contains maybe 100 vials. So like the first one, so you'll select the first one, contains at least 1,000 vials, and then the quantity that was requested, and then you can always again put the brand name and manufacturer name. I know we captured this the other side, But yeah, for now, you'll be able to also add those. Then you go to the next item, you again be able to select from the batch that has more drugs, and then you save. Sorry, let me just put the brand name and the manufacturer name. And then for cetirizine again, the request was 5,000. You'll be able to select the batch that has at least 5,000 tablets, and then you'll be able to specify the brand name and the manufacturer name, and then you save. Okay, so that is for the stock issue. So once you're done, then you select next. We say it does not require approval, and then you dispatch, and then you submit. So that will be done. Just give me a second. Sorry about that. Yes, so once the people at the main pharmacy have issued the stock, again, from the operations, you should be able to see the drugs that were issued, and that it has been dispatched, and you should be able to see that the drugs were issued from the main store to the main pharmacy, and you'll be able to see the person who did that and the dates and all that. So for us to confirm, or for those drugs to be available in the main pharmacy, the people at the main pharmacy needs to be able to complete the transaction. Basically say that, yes, we have received the drugs. So for you to be able to say that in the EMR, you'll basically click on that arrow for stock issue, then you come here and you say complete. Complete now will move those drugs from the main store now to the main pharmacy. If you don't say complete and you finish here, if you try to dispense these drugs, you'll not be able to see them, especially if they're the only drugs you have in stock in the facility and they are not available in the main pharmacy. Utajaribu kudispense na utaona the batch number will not be available. So you'll come here and you say complete. Again, at the main pharmacy, you can be able to also return. If at all you want to return the drugs back to the main store, you get to do that from here. So I'll say complete and say submit. Okay, so now the drugs will be available or now available in the main pharmacy. So now the facility is able to actually dispense these drugs. Again, you can also be able to just print the operation if it's needed at the pharmacy level. When you say print, you should be able to now be able to print the quantity that was issued. All right, so now the drug is available at the pharmacy. I know my colleague Marianne will now be taking us through now how to be able to order the drug and also how to dispense the drug. But we also have some additional operations that you can be able to do from the EMR. So you can be able to document external requisition. Again, you'd be able to select if you're requesting from another facility, you're requesting drugs from another facility, or you're requesting drugs from an external source, so you'll be able to document the source. Again, remember the source has to be configured first. Then when you say next, okay. So this is a new feature, so I can already see it's not responding, but the process is the same. So when you say next, you'll be able to specify the items you are requisitioning, and then you'll be able to complete. So once you've done that, then again, the rest of the processes are just the same. This feature will mainly be used when the EMR is ready and is integrated with some sources like KEMSA. Currently, we are working on an integration so that you're able to do this kind of request directly from the facility to KEMSA. KEMSA approves and sends you drugs. So I know right now facilities are doing it manually, but when this feature is ready, you should be able to do that and be able to get your drugs directly, requisition directly from KEMSA and issue directly from KEMSA to your facility. We also have negative adjustments, so you can be able to adjust your stocks appropriately, but before then you'll be able to give a reason why you're adjusting your stock. Maybe medication was given to other facilities, and then you say next, then you'll be able to specify the drugs that were actually given to that facility. So you'll be able to specify the batch number, the quantity you're giving to that other facility, and all the other details. Okay, then when you're done, you complete and you submit. So the process is the same. But now in your reports, you should be able to see that at some point you are able to give out some drugs to facility B. So you'll be able to see that. Okay. You can also be able to do a positive adjustment. You're getting drugs from another facility. So you'll be able to choose the facility you're getting the drugs from. Or if you're getting drugs again, let's say you gave out drugs from the main store to the CCC pharmacy and they're returning it, you can be able to also document that. You choose the reason. Right now, this is the only reason that is coming up. But I know at the facility level, for the version you have, you should be having more than this reason available for the positive adjustment. And then you'll be able to select next. Again, you'll be able to select the drugs that you're receiving from either the other store or another facility. So assuming it's, I'm using the drugs that I'm well versed with. Again, you'll be able to select the expiry date, the amount you're receiving from them, and then be able to save. And then you say next, you say it does not require approval. If it requires approval, you'll be able to specify, and then you complete. I don't think I have the necessary rights for that store, but it's fine. So that is for the positive adjustment. We also have a return. If you're returning stocks from, let's say, for example, from the main pharmacy back to the main store, again, you can be able to do that operation from the EMR. You just be able to specify where you're returning the stocks from, assuming you have, again, the different stores. So these are configurable. The stores are configurable. So once you configure the stores, if your facility has even, I think there's normally MCH, they normally have like a small store where they give things like family planning. If you're returning them back to the main store, you should be able to specify. Okay. And then once you specify, then when you click next, it's the same process. You'll be able to select the items that you intend to return. Let me just change this so that I don't get the error I got. So again, you'll be able to specify the drugs that you're returning. So assuming you're returning, cetirizine, the one that is currently in stock. Assuming you're returning cetirizine, you'll be able to select the batch that you're returning, and then the quantity that you're returning and the other details, and then you save. If you're returning more than one item, you'll be able to specify all of them, and then you say next. If it does not require approval, you dispatch. Okay? Because you're returning, the people you're returning to must also be able to say that they've actually received what you're returning. So you'll come here to return. Okay, I don't think I have the rights. Or there's something I haven't done right. Okay. Oh, okay. I already know where the problem is. It's the item that I'm trying to return. So ideally, when you, let me try and do that for a different drug. Let me say I'm returning, I think we had enough paracetamol. Okay, assuming I want to return from this stock, I want to return 10. Okay. Hopefully that stock is in the main pharmacy. It does not require approval. And then I submit. Okay. So then the process has already is successful and the dispatch has been initiated. So when you come here to return, then the person at the main store needs to be able to click on complete to just confirm that they've actually received the stock back to the main store. If you don't click complete, again, the drugs will still be available in the main pharmacy. So you'll click complete, and then now the stocks will be available in the main store, basically confirming that the return operation is successful. You'll be able to see now completed. Okay, you can also be able to do stock take from the EMR. So when you click on stock take, you'll be able to select you want to do stock from which location exactly. So you can do stock take from the main store, from any of the other sub-stores, or even from any of the other dispense outlets. So, for example, if you want to do stock take from the main pharmacy, you'll select the location, then you'll document the reason why you want to do stock take. So maybe it's routine stock take, or it's you want to rationalize stocks from the various dispensing points, or do you think there's an error in your previous stock take, so you want to just redo it? If you have any other reason, you just say other, and you'll be able to document the reason under the remarks. So assuming you want to do you're doing routine stock take, so you'll select that. You click next. So I think I'm only certain that we have paracetamol in the main store. So you'll select the drug. You select the batch, you count the quantities that you physically have, and then you'll be able to document. So assuming I have all the 4537, I only have 4500. Okay, so that is the quantity that you'll put after physically counting the stock that you have. This will be the stock that is available in the system. This will be the stock that you actually have, stock at hand. Okay, so you'll be able to do that for all the drugs that you want to do stock to, and then you click next, and then you complete. So now when you generate your reports, you should be able to see, especially for stocks that have a difference, you can be able to see the difference from there, and then you can be able to now pursue other options to just be able to ensure that your stocks are making sense, or if they're not making sense, you can at the facility level now try to figure out why there's a difference in what you have in the system versus what we actually have at hand. So basically that is it for stocks. For the operations that are available here under the stock operation, you can always also filter, especially if you want to know if you're at the admin level and you want to tell the operations that were done on a specific day. Maybe for audit purposes, you can say maybe you want to tell which operations were done on the 1st of December. So when you filter, you should be able to see who did what exactly, who did requisitions, who did stock take, who returned some stocks, who did some adjustments. You should be able to see all those plus the date. And you can also be able to see which stocks were actually, let me just change this. You can actually be able to see the status of the operations that were done, which ones were cancelled. So if someone cancels an operation, you'll be able to see the cancelled operations here. And then you'll be able to see the operations that were successfully completed, the ones that were discharged, especially despite the ones that needs approval. Any operation that was rejected, you should be able to see them here. The ones that were submitted that are supposed to be approved, you can just filter and you should be able to see. And then you should also be able to see operations for any drug that was returned. You should also be able to see them down here. Again, if you just want to see the adjustments that were done and you don't want to see anything else for these operations, you can always just click adjustment, and then you'll only be able to see operations related to adjustments that were done. If you want to see maybe only operations on requisition, you select requisition and you'll be able to see the list of all requisitions that were done in the different locations by the different people for the different dates. So you'll be able to see all that here. We also have reports for stock. The reports that we have for stock within the managed stock modules are custom reports that have come with the 3.x platform. But then I know Marianne will also be showing us the other standard reports that are MOH based that we also have, that as long as you're using the EMR comprehensively, you should be able to generate the correct ones. So to be able to just check, especially after using your stock, the different statistics for the operations, you'll click on reports, and then you should be able to click new report, select the report of interest. So currently, you're able to tell the stock status for the different locations. You can tell the stock consumption reports, basically how your reports are moving, how your stock are moving, stock receipt report. You should be able to tell the stock issue reports, dispensing logs, the drugs that were prescribed, fulfillment prescriptions report, stock forecast report, stock expiry forecast report. So we're also able to forecast for you your stock, which ones are almost expiring, of course, using AI from the stocks that you've entered over time. Stock out report, stock expiry report, the transfer out, the transfer ins. You'll also be able to tell which are your most moving items and the least moving items from your stock. So when you click on stock status report, you'll be able to specify, because the module right now is for both non-farms and pharmaceuticals. If your facility is using both, you can specify whether you need specifically for pharmaceuticals or non-farms or even lab consumables, or you want for all categories, so say it's a drug, and then how you want to be able to view your stock. So I'll say location and stock item, and then you'll be able to choose the location. So if you want to be able to see your status at the main store, you'll select main store. If you want to see your status at the main pharmacy, you can be able to select main pharmacy and select main store. So if there are other locations that also have the tag main store, then you say include child locations, and you'll be able to also get the stock status for all those other locations. Then for the dates, you say you want your report as at 28th. It will give you all literally it will pull the report up to the end of that month, that is 28th of February. And then you say save. So when you say save, then it starts generating. Okay. I think there are others that were generating before. So it will generate. And then once it's done, you'll see the download icon. You'll click on download icon. I'm clicking on that because the other one is still loading. And then you'll be able to open it in Excel, in CSV actually. Let me just you'll be able to open it in CSV, and then you should be able to see the status of your stock, depending on when you actually started using the stock. So I don't know if it's visible, but you'll see the name of the drug, the trade name of the drug, the common name, abbreviations if any, categories. You'll see the batch number for those drugs, when those drugs are supposed to expire. You'll see the quantity of those drugs in that specific location that you selected. Then we have the unit of measure, and then we have the pack size. If you had set this, it will be available. Reorder levels, reorder level unit, again the reorder level pack size. And then again, depending on when you started using the system, you should be able to see your stock over time. So you'll be able to see from the time you started using the system And then this other side again, you should be able to see the losses that you had. And then these are not so relevant, but you'll also be able to have access to the drug ID and the concept IDs. Okay. These losses will mainly come from stock tech. If you've done stock tech and your drugs at hand and the drugs that are actually in the system are not matching, you'll be able to see the number of drugs that you can't account for in this column. Okay, so maybe because this is taking a bit of time now, maybe I'll request after maybe the call, we can provide a test instance so that the team can go and try. But then also at the facility level, you should be able to also try to generate your reports. For you to generate reports, the normal accounts will not generate for you reports. So you'll need to still come here, use a role scope for you to add additional role for generating reports. So for generating reports for each account, you'll be able to add user role scope. I think Otieno already showed the process, but now instead of selecting inventory admin, you'll be able to select inventory reporting. So the moment you select inventory reporting, then that account will be able to now generate these reports. If you don't have that role for the people who are supposed to generate the reports, you'll reach here, but when you click new report, nothing will show. Okay, so basically that's it for stock. So I'd like to hand this over to Miriam to take us through the next phase of the training. Miriam?
Yes, Frida, thank you for that. Good morning. It's not yet afternoon. Confirm you can hear me as I share my screen so that we can continue.
You're audible.
Thank you. So as I share my screen, confirm it is visible from your end. So for the next session, we're going to go through now the utility of commodities available in a facility using different users in different stores. For the account that I'm going to use, it's more of a clinical account, but it has other roles so that you can also be able to perform pharmacy roles to be able to dispense our drugs at the facility. So when one of the utilities is to provide the commodities to the patients, and when the patients come, they will be seen by a clinician. So a clinician will be able to access patients coming in to see them. For example, we're going to use a test patient for this. Once they get into the clinical room, we will serve our patient. The system redirects us to the patient homepage, whereby a clinician will see the patient, maybe using a clinical encounter, be able to determine the impressions on what they are managing the patient for, get the final diagnosis, and eventually be able now to determine whether the patient should be managed through drugs or through other means. So for our patient, we're going to assume the patient came to the facility with some pain on the leg, maybe they had a wound, and our clinician have already seen them. We can be able to document, we have already documented the clinical encounter, and now we'll proceed to the clinician now making some orders for one, a procedure for our patient, and two, for particular drugs so that we can be able to see the utility of the commodities that we have in store using this workflow. So from the patient homepage, a clinician will be able to access the order basket. From the order basket, one, we will be able to add any drugs to manage our patient, presenting symptoms and confirm the diagnosis. So for example, I'm going to use some of the drugs that we have already put in stock. Allow me to use ibuprofen. It was ibuprofen 200 milligrams. Create an order form for that. From this particular view, our clinician, if they have the roles, they will be able to see this particular drug in the various stock levels that we have in different stores. For example, we can be able to tell this particular drug, ibuprofen tablet 200 milligrams, is available in the main store, in the main pharmacy, and from the different various stores in forms of the tablet levels. Now, for this to happen, remember we need to give user roles to the clinician so that they have visibility for the different stores, so that as they're giving or issuing prescribing drugs to our patient, they will be able to tell what is out of stock, what is in stock, so that they can be able to advise the patient accordingly. So we're going to make a prescription order for this particular drug. It's coming in a tablet form, which will be taken orally by a patient. Frequency, maybe we want this taken twice daily by our patient. Duration, we're going to give this for 5 days. So that means the quantity to dispense will be 10 tablets. The patient may not require any refills. And the reason why we're giving this particular tablet is for pain management. And we can save the order. We can also add several other drugs. Allow me to add a few more. Maybe our patient came complaining of body weakness, so we can try add another drug like multivitamin drug. For this case, we'll be able to tell this particular drug is out of stock, but because it's one of the drugs being prescribed by the clinician, we will still be able to make a prescription order for this particular patient. Again, it will be taken orally. Frequency, we can recommend once daily, mostly maybe in the morning. We may want to give our patient again for the 5 days. So that means quantity to dispense will be 5. We do not need a refill. The reason why we're giving this particular drug for the indication was for maybe poor immunity or general body weakness or something like that. And we can be able to add as many drugs as possible. We can also add one more that we had gone through the stock module. It was cetirizine. It was cetirizine 10 milligrams, if I'm not wrong. Again, quickly. Dosing unit. It is also a tablet. Frequency, we can say again, maybe once in the evening. Duration, we're still giving for the 5 days. We do not need quantity to dispense will be 5 tablets. We do not need any refill. The reason why we're giving this, maybe our patient has some allergic reaction requiring an antihistamine or something like that. We can save the order. Now to demonstrate both pharmaceutical and non-pharmaceutical products, our clinician can decide also to make an order for a procedure. Maybe our patient had come in complaining of leg pain, so we can be able to add a procedure for something like wound dressing, just to help us demonstrate. We're going to quickly order for this procedure. It's a minor category procedure, can be elective, it's not an emergency. Body site, you can say other. Number of repeats, we can say we need like 3 of these procedures for wound dressing or cleaning. We can say a frequency, giving her a frequency of like 3 days. The patient needs to be done this 3 times in a week. The reason why we're ordering this is that the patient has a wound, has a cut on the leg. Any additional instruction, maybe clean the wound. Comments to the fulfiller, maybe train patient on wound care. And you can be able to save that. Then we can be able to add some bit of non-pharmaceutical products when we send our patient to the nursing area for this procedure to be done. Because of the role I'm using, I will be able to add those particular non-pharmaceutical products although ideally they can also be added by the nurses when this particular patient will proceed to the procedure room. So allow me to just add them here. So I'm going to add some medical supplies that are going to help our nurse to be able to perform this procedure. So one of the items maybe we can add is maybe a syringe to be able to help remove we can select this one. Oops. You can add this one, a gauge 21. Priority is going to be routine. Quantity, maybe we need 2 of them. The system here has a port. We need the quantity units as a drop down, something that is going to be added, and we can save that particular order. This is for demonstration purposes only. So our clinicians has made a drug order for drugs that our patient will need, a procedure that will help us also to demonstrate some of the non-pharmaceutical products, like a syringe that maybe is needed to draw out some of the accumulated fluids in this particular wound as the nurse is dressing our patient, and you can be able to sign it and close, send our patient for the procedure, send our patient to the pharmacy to be able to pick drugs. Note that as a clinician, the location I was operating from. So if we decide the first step we're going to send our patient is to the pharmacy to be able to collect drugs, maybe they're in pain and they may need some of the pain medication that we have already given them. When they go to the pharmacy, the pharmacist will need to log into the pharmacy location for them to be able to dispense drugs. Because of the user that I'm using, they have expanded roles. I will only be able to change locations from this particular section in the EMR. So from where we have the current location where a user is, that is Chuka Referral Hospital, I will click on it so that the system allows me now to log into one of the, maybe to the main pharmacy where we have sent our patient to go and pick drugs. And I will be able to log into that location, assuming the role of now a pharmacist. So when the pharmacist logs into the application or to the system, they will be able to see the location where they have been logged in, and the operating area will be from the EMR modules. We get the dispensing application, so that now we can be able to see all orders that have been made to this particular location, and we can be able to tell all active prescriptions and all prescriptions. Active prescriptions means that we have not yet dispensed to our patient, and the status will either be active or post, and we can be able to see our patient. The system will order these particular prescriptions depending on how the prescriptions have been made by the clinicians. So that means we'll have the latest prescription order at the top. If at all we have many patients in a high volume site, we can also be able to search for a particular prescription order using the patient ID or using the patient name. I can be able to easily tell out my patient, which was this one. There is a prescription order that has been created today. I can be able to see the patient name, the person who has prescribed, the particular drugs that have been prescribed to our patient. For the dispensing application, we will only be dealing with products that are of the drug related that have been prescribed, and we can even be able to see the current status of the prescription. So when we go deep into the particular order by using the drop-down feature at the far right, we'll be able to tell some details about these prescriptions. We'll be able to see all the drugs that have been prescribed. We can also be able to get into some of the diagnoses and conditions as to why this patient is being given these drugs. We can also be able to access some history about our particular patient. So when you go to the prescription details, we will be able to now look at each drug that has been prescribed by our clinician. And at the pharmacy level, we can be able to do several things. One, if this particular drug has a price that is attached to it at our facility, we can be able to raise that bill so that it allows us to be able now to come back and dispense. Once we raise the bill, it means now we will need to send our patient to go and pay for the drug first before we can even be able to dispense. Two, if we have an issue with the prescription, maybe the quantity that the clinician has prescribed here is not the quantity we have at this particular store. At the main pharmacy, we have less in stock. We can be able to temporarily modify that prescription, issue the patient the quantity that we have, then be able to do a refill or request them to come back when medication is available. We can also be able to pause a particular prescription and give a reason as to why we are pausing this. Maybe we need to consult with the clinician further. Maybe the drug that has been given does not match the diagnosis. Maybe the patient is allergic and the clinician had not noticed, and we may need to confirm or get another drug substitution for that one. So the reasons are as many as have been availed here, and we can be able to select when we need, or our pharmacist needs to pause a particular prescription for further consultation. At the same time, if we cannot be able to give this particular drug at the facility, maybe because of unavailability, we can be able to close this particular prescription order for this drug so that it does not appear among the active prescriptions, yet we are not able to create that prescription. So I'll start with creating or raising a bill for the two drugs, and I'm hoping my colleagues on call will be able to quickly service this particular bill so that I can still proceed from the same screen. So this is for Brufen in quantity 10. Maybe our patient said they're going to pay in cash. For each tablet, we are charging them 1 shilling, so that we expect in total they will be able to pay 10 shillings, and you can save and close. We can also raise the bill for the other drug, that is a cetirizine. We had requested a quantity of 5 tablets. The set price for insurance, it's 10 shillings. For M-Pesa, it's 5 shillings. For this particular drug, our patient is going to pay via mobile money. Again, we expect them to pay 25 shillings. We can save and close, send our patient to the billing area, either the pharmacy or a central billing point for them to be able to pay, then they can come back to the pharmacy. If, for example, for this particular drug that is out of stock, we cannot be able to dispense at this particular facility, we can be able to print this particular prescription to our patient so that we can advise them to go and buy from outside or elsewhere. So when we select the print prescription feature that has been availed in this particular module, the user will be able to access the printout for all the drugs. We can be able to tease out what is readily available and check, or just check what we need the patient to go and buy from elsewhere that we do not have in our facility. For example, we check the multivitamin tablets that was out of stock. They will be able to see the dosage, the quantity, the prescription, the refills, and we can be able to make this printout and give or issue to the patient so that they can be able to buy from elsewhere. So that is one of the features that can even be used at the dispensing area. So allow me to refresh so that I can be able to see if the patient has paid, and we can be able to proceed. My bills still remain unsettled. I was hoping someone will get in and be able to service this prescription. So allow me to quickly do this. Unfortunately, we used some drugs that need to be settled, where the bill needs to be settled. So when we transition the patient to the billing area, they will be able to go to the accounting clerks. The accounting clerks will be able to access patients who are in their queue for billing from this particular section. They will be able to access all bills that are for today. We can be able to tell that our patient whom we sent has a bill. The billable items are for Brufen and cetirizine, and the status is pending. That means they have not yet been paid for. So they will select the user. They will clock in if they had not clocked in. Maybe they are clocking into the pharmacy dispensing cash point so that we can be able to service this billing. From here, we can be able to tell statistics of our patient on top. Allow me to just quickly go through this because this was not the main agenda. We'll be able to see the line items for what our patient has come to pay for. We will check for Brufen, advise them they need to pay 10 shillings, Citizen 25 shillings. If they're ready to pay, then we can check both of them. And we can be able to advise them on the total bill, which is 35 shillings. Allow me to just manually process this bill so that we can move. Add a payment method. Maybe your patient is willing to pay via M-Pesa. The amount they're willing to pay is 35 shillings, and we can be able to process that particular payment and advise our patient to go back to the pharmacy and now present a receipt that they have gotten from the billing area, showing proof of payment, and go back to the pharmacy. So going back to the pharmacy, we'll still get to the pharmacy using the dispensing application, where our pharmacist is access our patient who has come back. And now we'll be able to see that what we had as billing and pending payments has now changed to dispense, and we can be able to give these particular drugs to our patient. So we'll start with the first drug. Now we can be able to dispense. Clicking on dispense, the system will load for you the dispense prescription form. It will preload some details from the prescription that we had done, showing that we're issuing drugs for ibuprofen tablet 200 milligrams. Quantity prescribed is 10. And we can now be able to define the quantity that we're giving our patient. So if we have all the 10 within the dispensing area in the main pharmacy, we can be able to do that. Then you will notice that we can still be able to dispense this particular prescription until we can be able to get it from the stock levels that we have. So currently we can be able to tell that we have this particular drug in different batches. The system will order for you the different batches using the most or nearing expiry one as the first one. So for example, this one that has a batch of 6544 with a quantity of 994 tablets of ibuprofen 200 milligrams has a near expiry date, and it's the one we should select. So when we select the stock to dispense from this particular batch, you will notice now the system will allow you to dispense the prescription. Now, if we do not have any stocks that have been included where we can be able to pick from a particular batch showing the exact expiry date, the system will not allow you to dispense this prescription. Now, because we have fulfilled all that, we can proceed then to dispense the prescription. Yes, Ogutu?
Yes, I wanted to add something on that section that populates the stock, the batch.
We can still use Citizen. Allow me to use Citizen. Yes. So for
if any case, the batch doesn't appear when you try to access the stock to dispense doesn't appear here, kindly confirm that the drug that has been prescribed, the duration of prescription doesn't exceed the expiry date of the drug. If in any case, you are prescribing the drug for 90 days, but the drug expires within 30 or less than 90 days, it won't appear here. So you'll be forced to go and adjust and modify your prescription. So that is very important, and I thought it wise to have the team know about it. Thank you. We've received cases whereby that is the reason why the stock doesn't appear. So it's something to note. Thank you.
Thank you, Gutu, for that. Thank you for that clarification. Again, for the second drug, Citizen, we were supposed to dispense 5 tablets. So if we still have them in stock, we can dispense the 5. If we don't have them in stock, we can dispense the quantity that we have. Then advise the patient to either come for more drugs or buy from elsewhere. Then we'll also select from an existing batch. Ideally, it is recommended we select from there the first one that has been ordered with the near expiry. Then remember now what Ogutu has just said, that we need to look at the quantity versus the date that particular batch number is expiring. Then we dispense the prescription. So once you do that, you will notice that the status of the drugs that have been prescribed will now change to completed. apart from the one that we had that we could not be able to give our patient because we do not have it in stock. We have printed that particular prescription and advised them to buy elsewhere. And even at this level now, we can be able to close that particular prescription for this particular drug. Reason being, the drug is not available at the facility, and we can be able to close that event. So when we do that, we'll find that for that particular patient, their prescription order will not longer be among the active prescriptions, but we can still be able to get it from all prescriptions. So when we go to the all prescription tab, search for our patient, we'll still be able to find it here and be able to see for each drug that had been prescribed, what is the current status. So for the 2 that were available, we have a completed status. For the 1 that was not available that we issued a printout, we will have a closed out a status. Now, to demonstrate now the non-pharmaceutical products, and this is work in progress, I'll just highlight it. We will be able to do this from the Kenya EMR modules, supplies, dispensing. Now, this is to cater for other commodities that are non-pharmaceutical. So it models the same dispensing form, where we'll be able to see patients who have active prescriptions for medical supplies. We can even be able to tell for our patient for today, from a specific prescriber, the item that had been prescribed was a syringe, and we can be able to either dispense, pause, or close. Again, if a price is attached to this particular commodity, we'll also have another tab to bill, send our patient to pay first before we offer the service or the commodity. So for us, it will still follow the same workflow. We'll be able to either close the prescription if we cannot be able to offer this at the facility and advise our patient to pay from elsewhere. Pause if, 1, we do not have it in stock right now, but we know to receive these stocks journal, we may need just to add or consult with a clinician. You can post that particular prescription. But if we already we have this particular item in stock, then we can be able to dispense. For now, this particular section is not operational, but it is work in progress. And the medical supplies enhancements are still ongoing. And soon, users will be able to use the dispense medical supplies application, which is under review. And it will be available in the upcoming versions. So to wrap it up, Frida had taken us through the different reporting levels of the data that we have just gone through using the stock module, the different stock commodities for the different products, pharmaceutical and non-pharmaceutical. And we have 3 areas where we can be able to have these particular reports. Level 1 is within the individual. I'll just highlight this because it's something Frida had gone through, is within the individual commodity itself. You can be able to see the different levels and access some reports for a particular drug. I will still use the same drug. For example, ibuprofen 200 milligrams. When it comes to the different transactions for this particular drug, we can be able to access the stock card or the bin card. We can be able to give a printout, and we can even be able to filter it by location. And this is something we had already been shown. So that is level 1 of accessing reports for the stock management module. Level 2 is where we have the specific submodule for reports within the stock management, where again, we will be able now to access an expanded view of reports that will help us to provide access to specific commodity reports to aid in decision making. And this is something that had already been shown by Frida. Now, the 3rd level of reports will be available from Kenya EMR modules, Kenya EMR Home. Select our reporting module from the 2.x section. From there, there are specific pharmacy reports that we can be able to access. And this one are more of MOH standard reports that will aid in decision making and helping us to be able to give monthly reports. So from this particular reporting module, our interest to find these reports will be from the EHR reports, where we will find SCDRL MOH 730B reports and FMAT report. So I will quickly demonstrate how to be able to access these reports. For example, let's start with FCDRR. We can be able to request this particular report for a specific month. You can select the month accordingly. I had already made a request for February. The system will allow you to view or to be able to download this particular report as a CSV or as an Excel file. I had already downloaded it as an Excel file, and we can be able to even view this particular report. The good thing is that it models to exactly how the report that we are using at the facility looks like. Confirm, you can be able to see my screen for the report. Is the report visible? Somebody confirm you can be able to see my screen.
Marianne.
You'll have to
Marianne.
reshare your screen. What we are
Oh, I
seeing
need
is
to
just,
reshare. You can be able to
get
see. I
us
need to
Excel.
reshare. You can be able to see the
We are
Excel.
still on. We are still on the Kenya EMR.
All right, that's what the confirmation I needed so that I can be able to share now the Excel. So when you download the report, this is how it looks like. I'm hoping by now we are able to visualize that. Allow me just to increase the view a bit so that you can be able to see how the report looks like. Allow me to share again. So this will be the view of the report. It is a replica of the physical reports we have in the facility. It will be able to show you the drug name, the beginning balance and the ending balance at a particular month, showing the unit pack, the beginning balance, the total quantity received, dispensed within the particular month, any losses or wastage, positive, negative adjustment. And then at the end of the month, you'll be able to tell the physical stock count for all the commodities in form of drugs that you have, disaggregated as adult preparations for ARVs and pediatric preparations and medicines for PrEP, medicines for OIs, TB, HIV, and all other commodities that we have, which we report using this particular report. So this is available in the system, and the teams, we actually encourage the teams just to go back and interrogate the reports further to help us also understand whether this particular report is generating as it should. Again, from the same module, we can still also be able to access FMAPs, EHR reports, FMAP reports, which is one of the pharmaceutical reports we have in the system. We can still also be able to view it in the system. We can be able to see the different regimen combinations, the total number of patients who are on this particular regimen, again, ordered by adults, children, PMTCT regimens for now. So for this particular report, you can also be able to download it the same way we had downloaded for the FCDRR report. We can be able to interrogate, print it out so that you can also be able to either one, document within the facility file or be able to forward it as a report in the departments where it is needed at the end of the month. So this closes out that particular section for the demonstration of stock management module, how the commodities are used within the facility by the different users in terms of prescription for both pharmaceutical and non-pharmaceutical products. Back to you, Tina. Otieno?
Yes, thank you very much, Miriam and Frida, for that. I can see there are a couple of questions on the chat area, some of which I can see Ugutu has tried to respond to them. So at this point, I think I'll just open it up briefly for some Q&A. Then I think we can start closing the meeting. Before we open it up for Q&A, I just wanted to share some of the online resources that you can utilize, even as you practice how to use the module. So I just wanted you to have this. You can take a picture of it, or you can just memorize it. So these are the links for all the resources that are available that you can utilize for personal training. So you have the test instance down here that you can use for your personalized training on how to utilize the module. You can call this number. It's a toll-free line in case you have any issues that you want to be sorted. We have a service desk that will be able to support you. You can join our community, the HIS community, where you can be able to access some knowledge materials. You can also participate in answering some of the questions that are being raised by the members of the community, as you can also get some responses to your questions as well. There is YouTube, again, a dedicated YouTube channel for Palladium, which have all the recordings, including the one that we are doing today. We are going to post it in the YouTube channel, so you can be able to access it from tomorrow and be able to just review what we've learned today. We also have a whole list of training resources here that then you can access and also just use them for personal practice. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to share. So I hope you've maybe taken a picture of it so that you can utilize it later on. Yeah, so I don't know if there is any question. If you have a question, please just raise your hand. Then we can hear your question and then try and respond to it. So I'll just give very few people, just raise your hands if you have any question. I'll start with the Gutu. Maybe Gutu, you want to clarify something?
Yeah,
Just unmute
something
and
that
proceed.
something that I would want to clarify, that I know at times doesn't sit well with our users who reach out to the service representative via the toll-free line. I request that our users, even in case you call the toll-free line and there's a delay in receiving the call, that one means that the officers are all engaged. Kindly just keep trying at some intervals, we'll be able to receive and support you. That is a caveat I wanted to share with the team. At times you can call and you find that all the officers are engaged. So don't get tired. Just keep trying at some intervals to be able to receive the calls and support you. Thank you.
Thank you, Gutu. So I'll start off with Nicholas. Nicholas, please unmute and proceed.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes,
Am I
yes.
audible? Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, you've just answered two of my concerns. That is about a forum whereby we can be reporting these challenges, and if maybe there is a reliable manual for the referencing. Because I'll share with you some of the challenges which are currently at Likoni Sub-County Hospital. We've really battled with until we still don't have a solution in relation to the tool. So the other thing I would also recommend as part of a standard prescription, it would be of help as a future development if you can include the diagnosis and any presence of NCDs suppose it exists, so that can help us also to guide our clinician and maybe ourselves in, so that we don't miss any opportunity. Like a patient can come with a prescription where, okay, by the time unamwona, then maybe there could be some information that you can see at a glance. Now, just to move right away to some of these challenges, we realize that the tool work well, but now the challenge is that it's so much, we have experienced that internet dependence. To an extent, you can dispense a prescription and you have to redispense it, and this can affect the accuracy of the stocks, because now if you dispense twice, it's going to be deducted twice. So maybe you'll also guide me on how that can be solved out. Then also the pending prescription, as you mentioned somewhere there, we've been having initially started around 23. As we are speaking now, is almost 1,000 prescription, and some of these prescription they could not dispense out because I think where you are mentioning the person who is prescribing maybe has not been given some right, and also when you want to edit that prescription, it cannot edit. So those areas we've really tried to raise concern, but they're still stuck. Then also we've been having challenge in configuring a new item because we realize like there is this new, an example of one new drug which is not in the part of the item, that is a blood ODT, that is a BC3TC DTG. We didn't have idea on how to enter a new drug from scratch. And also generating a report has also been a challenge, but to address it there. So maybe through that guide, we'll be able to find how we can generate those reports. Then we've also have a challenge with the unit of issues. For example, it is a suspension. And when you write the number of days, sometimes there it doesn't configure. Okay, it may, somebody may write whatever is there is a default in terms of bottle. So that has been a challenge which had never been solved before. And finally, editing a prescription. Let's say a prescription had an error. We've been having, and I think this is what has contributed to a high number of the pending prescription, because when you try to edit a prescription, there are prescriptions which we've not been able to edit. And we realized that some of these things has been as a result of like when the system was upgraded to the current one, the pharmacy model was disabled. And we are never able to see our stocks, like we're using the one of the location that is the CCC pharmacy. It was not even appearing there. So by the time it was, we contacted support from the staff, which when it was brought back, then this now managing store was also disabled. When he tried to work it out, then the whole thing again went evil. Then we've also experienced a limited rights, because like me, I sit in the pharmacy, but now I don't know, I'm expected to manage stock to work on this, but I realize I don't know what limits of right I have in accessing some of these configurations. So that has also been a challenge on my side. Then finally, I think which you mentioned about, you're also experiencing delay in working out some of these errors or the solution. Maybe you call, the person has to call another person who has to call. By the end of the day, the prescriptions are pending, the data has been interfered with. Until sometime, I was even had to talk to my colleague whether we should also consider backing up with the paperwork, because as time goes, we are waiting for solution, but it's not really within the time. So kindly, if that can be considered, we'll be grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nicholas. I think that has been noted. I think you listed a couple of issues that we have noted. Some of which I think we have already responded to in the session, and some of which I think will need us to reach out so that then we can help you resolve. For instance, the issues to do with the stock management, rights and roles and rights. I think we've covered that in the training. So when the system comes as a package, so it comes with all those modules activated. So it's just that that you cannot interact with some of those modules if you don't have the correct privileges, rights and privileges. So I think from the training you've seen now, we add users the roles and the role scope. So maybe something you can consider. But we have taken note of the areas that you've mentioned. I'll go to Malvin. Just unmute and continue. Malvin? Okay, let's go to Bevin. Bevin, you can unmute and proceed.
Okay, thank you. I only have one question. When we are being taken through the and also when it came to receiving from suppliers, is there an option? Sorry if I missed it. Is there an option of where you can bulk upload? Like, for example, you can have like a CSV or an Excel where you upload all your opening stocks, one click of a button, or do you have to go one item, one item, one item? And also when it comes to the deliveries as well, are you able to just put them in an Excel sheet in a already predetermined format and just bulk upload it, or do you still have to go one item by one item by one item? Thank you.
Okay, that is noted. We'll respond. Esther, unmute and proceed. Esther, you can unmute and proceed. Okay, let's go to Kitaka. Kindly unmute and proceed.
I'm here now. I'm Esther. Hello.
Yeah, move to your mic. Move closer to your mic, please.
Okay, I'm Esther now. I'm speaking.
Yeah.
Okay, my question is about the report. You know, the FMAP report. When you generate the report from the tool, like when you go in the part of PMTCT, it will give you some modules like PM12 for the PMTCT. But now, when you come to now, when we're doing the dispensing, this tool is not specific on who is PMTCT. Like it cannot give you like this regimen PM or PMTCT. It cannot. But when you generate, it's giving it gives you those values. So I don't know where the problem is. And then when it generates, the number of the PM are very few. So I don't know where the problem is with that FMAP. And then with the CDRR, when I was using it, when I was generating the report, you can find you've been dispensing a drug, and then when you generate the report, it gives you blank page of all to nearly up to the end. So I think it has to be looked into. Thank you.
All right, that is noted. Oh, Malvin, you're now ready to ask the question. Kindly unmute and proceed. Malvin, you can unmute and proceed. Yeah, I think she has issues with the mic. So I think maybe to just quickly respond, and maybe my colleagues, you can also chime in. Bevin is asking about bulk upload. So Bevin, the short answer is the feature is available, but it has not yet been optimized for use. So for now, you cannot use the bulk upload. But if you look at the system, it is the functionality is availed, but not optimized. So as of now, we will not recommend that you use the bulk upload. For now, just do the manual stock take until that time when that feature will be optimized. For the reports that has been asked by Esther, I think this is something that we can look at. But again, also as you run your reports, to avoid getting blanks and fewer reports than expected, we advise that you always refresh ETLs before you try to run your report. That way, you'll be getting an updated reports as of the time that you've chosen to run your report. So always ensure that you refresh your ETLs exactly before you run your reports. Yeah, so that can sort out the FMAPs and the FCDRR report that you are referring to. So I don't know if there's any other question. So for the list of questions that were asked by Nicholas, I think we'll be looking at them. Those challenges that you've reported, like the pending prescriptions, challenges in adding new drugs. This one I think I can respond to right now. So for now, you are not supposed to manually add in any drug, the system comes preloaded with all the drugs that have been authorized in the country. And once in a while, this list is being reviewed from the ministry side. And when there's any drug that is supposed to be there and it is missing, just report to us. We always pick that and then communicate the same to the ministry that then adds the drug, and then we get you a new CSV file. So it's the new CSV file that you're supposed to load. Yeah, so the answer is that don't do manual addition of any drug. It will not work. Just report the missing drug, then we'll get you a new CSV with that particular drug that you are requesting. Yeah, so I think report generation, we've already seen how to generate the reports. We've talked about the rights and roles for the users, for them to interact with the stock module. And I think the delay in sorting out user issues, I think Ugutu, my colleague, has already clarified that sometimes because of the number of calls that are coming in, sometimes you may call and you don't find the service desk team. It's not because they don't want to pick your call. It's just that they are still with other clients as well. So just keep trying until you get access to the service desk. Yeah, but I think the rest of it we've taken note. We'll be able to check on our side as well. So up to that point, I think we can close the Q&A and maybe start the closure of this particular training. We are 40 minutes past the assigned time, so we are really gone past the time. So I don't know if there's anyone, maybe from Palladium, that would want to make some remarks before we close. Moses, I don't know if you want to say something as we close.
Not really, Otieno, but just to thank everyone for their time. And I mean, I think looking at the numbers that we managed to even participants that we saw today, I think at some point in time we were close to 750. And then yeah, I think what we can only probably assure the participant is probably we will be providing more of these opportunities just to be able to learn and be able to exchange information and also for us to get feedback. Otherwise, I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Miriam?
We confirm our support as users start using the stock module, especially for those facilities that had not started using this particular module. We encourage you to use it. I'm not sure whether some of the facilities still using WebADT. If WebADT is being supported for scalability, for future inputs, we recommend that we use the stock module so that you can also build it together. For reports are still work in progress, but we rely on you to be able to give us feedback for us to be able to give you exactly what will work for you in terms of the dispensing workflow, the stock management workflow, and the reports. Back to you, Tim.
Thank you, Miriam. Frida?
Nothing from my end, Otieno.
Right. Yeah, so I think we may want to just stop it at that and call it training. I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone for finding time to join us in today's training. We are planning for a series of trainings starting from next week that is going to cover different modules. So today we were focusing on stock module. Next week we'll be having a series of trainings that will cover different modules. So look out for the calendar invites. We will really appreciate your availability for those trainings so that all the users can be comfortable in utilizing different features of TaifaCare powered by Kenya EMR. So for our partners, we want to thank you for the cooperation and also to ensure that the users were able to be onboarded. We wish to meet you again next week, but we urge you that as you get capacity built around these particular modules, please also share with your facilities, be able to train them so that you're also able to build their capacity to utilize these modules effectively. Otherwise, we want to call it a day. Let's meet again next week. Thanks, everyone. The recording will be available on our YouTube channel from tomorrow, so check it out. Thank you and bye.
Thank you too.